let me start by saying that I've been known to be very critical of Andre Berto over the last several years. But if you really look at it, can you blame me? Because me covering all of his fights since, let me see, how many fights have I covered, meaning on YouTube? I've covered every single one of his fights on YouTube since Victor Ortiz. I did a live video on him versus Ortiz 1. That was in 2011. Him versus Jan Zavek in 2011. Him versus Robert Guerrero in 2012. Him versus Soto Carras in 2013. Him versus Steve Upshur Chambers in 2014. I interviewed Steve Upshur Chambers before that fight. 2015 when he fought Jose Zito Lopez. 2015 also when he fought Floyd One Money Mayweather. How did he get that fight? And the rematch with Victor Ortiz. So now this weekend, April 22nd, 2017, on Showtime, he's going to be fighting Shawn Porter. I'm going to be at that fight. I'm going to be at the, I don't know, I'm going to one fight week event. I'm not sure. We have the media workout tomorrow. Right now it's Tuesday. What's today's date? Right now it's Tuesday, April the 18th. I don't know if I'm going to the media workout. Most likely I'll go to the media workout or the press conference. And of course, Saturday I'm going to be at the fight. So this is going to be the first time I'm actually going to be able to interview Andre Berto. You know, and years back, his brother used to go at me on YouTube in the comments saying that I'm always hating on Berto. But let's put things into perspective. He is fighting a pressure fighter. Shawn Porter is a pressure fighter, despite the fact that if you go check out the media call on the channel, Shawn Porter is talking about boxing Andre Berto and not pressuring him. Now, if you've noticed, going back to Luis Collazo in 2009, I'm going to be uploading some clips of that fight on my Instagram and social media, which is right down below. All the links are right down below in the description box. Our social media is very active. You know, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We provide highlights, updates, interviews, you know, everything you need, you know, especially promos. And we gear up during fight week. So expect this week to see a lot of Berto versus Porter stuff. You know, and of course with the interviews and everything that we'll be putting on. But a lot of people felt he should have lost that Luis Collazo fight. Luis Collazo, a pressure fighter. You move on to Victor Ortiz. He lost that fight. Fight of the year. Victor Ortiz, a pressure fighter. He was having some small issues with Jan Zavek until Jan Zavek had that cut. Jan Zavek considered a pressure fighter. You may know Jan Zavek because Iris Lara fought him recently when he shouldn't have. Robert Guerrero, a pressure fighter. A smaller fighter moving up in weight who's a pressure fighter. Jesus Soto Carras, a pressure fighter. Jose Zito Lopez. Now here's the thing. That Jose Zito Lopez was the first PBC on Spike card. Now, as it stands right now, even though they're still in talks, PBC on Spike is no more for now. That was for the WBA interim world title. So he was, according to the judges' cards, one judge before the knockout had Jose Zito Lopez winning 45-50. Another judge had Berto 48-47. And then the other judge, 47-48 for Jose Zito Lopez. So before that stoppage, and that stoppage, in my opinion, was somewhat controversial, somewhat premature. Go watch the fight. He won the fight by stoppage, but he was losing. Of course, his next fight after that, he got schooled by Floyd Mayweather. And then he fought Victor Ortiz again and got the stoppage, but yet he was down earlier in the fight. So when you look at, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In his last 8 fights, he is 4-4. You know, so he's had wins in those 8 fights over, wait, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so he's had wins over Jan Zavek, Steve Upshur Chambers, Jose Zito Lopez, and his avenged loss against Victor Ortiz. In his defeats, of course, Floyd Mayweather, Soto Carras, Robert Guerrero, Victor Ortiz. Now, the reason why this fight is intriguing to me is because Shawn Porter, being the pressure fighter, you would think that Shawn Porter is going to go out there to try to pressure and bully Andre Berto. Now, one thing we've noticed is Shawn Porter can have a tendency to be too erratic, to smother his punches. So the question I'm asking you is Berto better than Keith Thurman? Can Berto do a better job than Keith Thurman defensively and offensively to keep Shawn Porter off of him if Shawn Porter decides to go that route? Of, you know, pressuring him. You know, because that would be the smart thing to do. You know, I was very confused during the media call. I didn't get a question in because it was kind of short, you know, but I wanted to ask, like, well, what would be the logic or the thought process of trying to, you know, box Andre Berto, who has a very good jab, you know, a very good boxer. What's the thought process of trying to box him when clearly, you know, pressuring him would be the way to go? We've been hearing all this talk lately about on social media about, well, Shawn Porter better be weary of Andre Berto's uppercut. That may be true. But we've seen that Shawn Porter has a chin, even though he was knocked down, flash knocked down by Adrian Broner. What was that, in the 11th or 12th round? Shawn Porter, on the other hand, as we've noticed, seemed to have trouble with boxers, or more so boxers that can somewhat handle him on the inside to make sure that he smothers his punches. Both of these fighters, by the way, I must point out, has not fought in Keith Thurman. No, Shawn Porter fought in June of last year, right? June of last year. So he's had one fight in basically close to 2 years. This is his second fight in basically close to 2 years. He fought Adrian Broner in June of 2015. Then Keith Thurman in June of 2016. Now, that Keith Thurman fight was supposed to happen sooner. It was supposed to happen that December of 2015, but it ended up getting postponed multiple times to June because of various different reasons. So you have Andre Berto, whose last fight was last April. So Andre Berto, by this time, would have fought a year ago. And Shawn Porter about 10 months or so ago. So both of these guys are coming off layoffs. And I'm wondering how they were able to maneuver and finesse the WBC to make this fight for an eliminator. So basically the winner of this fight gets the winner of Thurman versus whoever he fights next. Word is Thurman is going to be fighting Danny Garcia again. That's the word that's out there. You know, whether you want to like it or whether you want to believe it or not. Don't shoot the messenger. You also have Lamont Peterson, who's claiming that he's the #1 contender for Keith Thurman because he has the WBA world title at 147 pounds that shouldn't even exist. You know, so one of these guys is going to be going on to be a mandatory. So the question I have is, if Andre Berto loses, where does this put him? You know, Andre Berto is what? Let me see how old is Berto. He's 33, right? Yeah, 33. He'll be 34 in September. And if he was to lose this fight, he would be 4-5 in his last 8. And of course, that would be 4 pressure fighters he's lost to in 5 fights. In 5 defeats. You know? So Andre Berto, in my opinion, has so much more to lose, and he has so much more that he has to prove to people during this fight, which is going to be some of the questions I'm going to ask him. Is like, yo, what does this fight really, really mean to you? I've read the the articles. I'm gonna get some halls. I've read the articles. I've done all the research on this fight. Of course, as I said, I've seen all of his fights. You know, even the ones that I haven't talked about live on YouTube. I've seen the Freddie Hernandez, the Carlos Quintana, the Juan Arango, the Steve Forbes. I've seen all of those fights. You know, the same thing with Shawn Porter. I've seen all of his fights. So right now, I am giving Shawn Porter the edge. And in my opinion, Shawn Porter should be the favorite. Right? But if we're going to see something from Andre Berto, remember, he was said to be great long ago. They look at the Victor Ortiz as, okay, well, you know, that was a good fight you lost. The Robert Guerrero fight, he wasn't supposed to lose. The Soto Carras fight was supposed to be a comeback fight. He wasn't supposed to lose that. Then he took a year off, and remember, he had that PED scandal that was surrounding him. He came back for Steve Upster Chambers, Jose Zito Lopez, and somehow that got him what he calls the harvest in a fight with Floyd Money Mayweather. You know, and a lot of people really felt he should not have got that fight, but thank you, Al Heyman, and that's a whole different story within itself. Then he got that very highly anticipated rematch that should have happened years ago against Victor Ortiz. You know, so now I'm wondering, it's like, yo, Andre Berto, if you lose, I know you're not going to retire, but your title shot, you know, hopes are pretty much, you know, done. And I don't know how much more Heyman can do for him if he loses a fight. Now, of course, there's big fights out there for Andre Berto. For example, if he loses to Shawn Porter, I would love to see him versus Adrian Broner. You know, maybe you can do him versus Robert Guerrero in a rematch. That would be like a good Showtime co-feature type fight, you know. I wouldn't say that would be a main event anymore, to, like, looking at both fighters, but that would be like a co-feature type fight. You know, who else? Would you like to see him versus Lamont Peterson? You know, there's fights out there for him. You know, but right now, if Shawn Porter was to lose, you know, Shawn Porter still has, you know, things that he can, big fights that he can still take as well. But a loss for Andre Berto would be much more devastating than it would be for Shawn Porter, in my personal opinion, even though I feel that Shawn Porter is and should be the favorite to win. But like I said, if he's talking about a boxing Andre Berto, then, you know, that's a bad move. But anyway, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. The next video I'm going to do on this fight is going to be after I get back from whatever media event I go to, whether it's the workout or the press conference. And of course, I'm going to have some interviews that I'm going to be uploading all throughout the week. So it's going to be a very, very, very busy week for me all the way up until Sunday night. So expect a lot of content coming for this fight. And of course, you got Jamel Charlo versus Charles Hatley. You have so many stars that are going to be in attendance. Danny Jacobs is going to be there. They're saying that this is Danny Jacobs' day. Peter Quillen is going to be there. Keith Thurman is going to be there. Danny Garcia may be there. Adrian Broner may be there. I know Keith Thurman is going to be there. Errol Spence is going to be there. You know, there's going to be a lot of people there. So expect for me to do some quality work this weekend. But anyway, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. Our website is fully active now. We have advertising. We have search engine optimization. We have a lot of stuff going on. So all that stuff I've been talking over the last couple of years is finally coming into fruition. Also, we're getting rid of these wood panels. We already have the date set for May, where we're getting all this revamped. I'm getting like a long custom desk. It's a lot going on. We have a lot going on. You know, I'm happy every day and I'm proud. Thank you for supporting me for all these years. T Street Controversy, T Street Controversy Live.